Good morning, everyone. Students, good morning to one and all. So, we are continuing with our session on labor. Now, as usual, first we will take up your questions and doubts if there are any, and then we will take up the next important aspect of labor. First, I would like to summarize what we understood, what we did in the session. Also, yes, just to inform you, there is some practical difficulty at my end. So, maybe for first 15-20 video and screen sharing will be off. After that, we'll be doing that. Anyways, in that much, it will be needed to complete the revision of the last lecture and also to solve your questions. So, firstly, let us take up the revision part and then your questions, and then we can take up the further discussion on the subject. So, we were discussing the topic on employee cost. Employee is the human element in the organization. So, students, the point of discussion today is that labor, which is a human element, has a very special attribute which is very different from the other two elements of cost, which is material and which is the expenses for resources. Now, what is the difference between the other two elements of cost and labor? The difference is that when you talk about human element, it is guided by emotions, it is guided by psychological factors. Now, this is where it has a very, very important difference when it comes to the costing. How the major aspect of labor when it comes to costing is that since it is guided by, influenced by the behavioral and psychological aspects, hence, there is a very good possibility that the quantum of output that you get from the labor resource will always be disproportional. I repeat, it will always be disproportional. Why I am saying disproportional? Because unlike material, where if you input 2 kgs, you cannot expect to get more than 2 kgs output. Rather, you may get lesser because of the possibility of normal losses, abnormal losses. However, when it comes to labor, when a labor is working for 10 hours, Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, Mr. D, the output that you will get from all these 4 workers doing the same job can be very different, and it will purely be guided by the psychological factors. It will purely be influenced by the level of their motivation and today how they are perceiving the entire work. Now, this is what is very special about the labor component. And this is where the labor cost control plays a very big role. As we all know, one of the major objectives of costing and cost accounting is cost control, cost reduction. And in labor, there is a huge scope for cost control and also cost reduction. But at the same time, since it is guided and influenced by psychological factors, there is also a very big scope and a very big risk of there being cost overruns. Student, just a minute, please.
Can you hear me?
Sir, your skin is not showing. It's not
What
visible also.
what is your query, beta?
सर आपका स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रहा.
कोई बात नहीं, आप आवाज से बोल दो, वॉइस मैसेज से।
ओके
मैं डॉक्टर सेन गुप्ता हूँ, बोर्ड ऑफ स्टडीज से।
सर, ये स्क्रीन नहीं दिख रहा है ना, सर का स्क्रीन.
अच्छा अच्छा, इसीलिए इसीलिए ये पूछना चाहते हो? और एनी टॉपिक रिलेटेड क्वेरी? हेलो?
हेलो.
हाँ, एनी टॉपिक रिलेटेड क्वेरी? कोई टॉपिक से रिलेटेड कोई क्वेरी है आपको?
नहीं सर, अभी नहीं है.
अच्छा ठीक है, अभी सर का थोड़ा नेटवर्क इशू है, ही इज ट्राइंग टू करेक्ट इट।
ओके ओके सर, थैंक यू सर.
from anybody?
Students, I have reached.
Sir,
Just allow me
Okay,
2 to 3
okay,
minutes
fine,
more to just set
fine.
up
You can
myself.
carry on, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, yes. Just 2 to 3 minutes. I'm setting up myself.
sir, can you tell from last chapter? Hello?
Yes, but please tell me.
Sir, two-bin system I was not able to understand from material cost.
See, two-bin system is what? Now, if you are using a vehicle, two-wheeler or four-wheeler, we have the concept of the reserves. Now, what is the objective? Please understand that we need to ensure that we have that minimum material, which is called as your reorder level stock, right? What is the reorder level stock? It is that quantity where you will place the next order. So, like in case of our vehicle, we should have at least that much petrol, which will allow us to go to the petrol pump. Now, many times it so happens, just presume if you were not having that reserve option in your vehicle, you may end up drying the entire petrol tank and getting stranded somewhere on the midway. So just to make you realize that we have reached to that level of stock where you need to place the next order, we have this concept of reserve. So how your petrol tank is designed, it is designed in two bin system, that is two parts. The bottom part is the part where you will hold quantity equal to the reserve quantity, which is over here called as the reorder level quantity. Now, this reorder level quantity is the bottom part. And over and above that, you have all the excess quantity. So let us say you have purchased stock of 500 and the reorder level is 100. So you have the excess stock. Now, how is this 500 units stored? The bottom part is 100 units, which is the reorder level. Just assume that there is a lid on that. And then you have the remaining 400 units of stock. Now, what happens? So what will happen that when you will consume the material from the top portion, you will keep on consuming as per your daily requirements. Once you consume the entire 400 and the stock comes down to 100, you will have to open up the second lid to enable you to start using it. And the moment you do that, you will realize that yes, I have reached that level. So it will ensure that now you will be placing the next order, which will be received within time and there will be no lapses. So this is what is the entire ideology of two-bin system. I hope this was clear, Beda. Yes,
Yes, sir.
perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. Who else having a question or doubt? You may please put it across to me till the time I am setting up. Okay. So let me then continue with the revision part if there is no doubt. So in material, there is no scope of changing the output because your output cannot be beyond the quantity of input. However, when it comes to labor, the output can be in different proportions depending upon the motivation level, depending upon the training level of the employee. And this is where there is a huge scope and also a huge gap in the labor control, whereby effective and proper labor control is very important. Now we come to the accounting aspect of labor. If you all remember, in accounting of labor, we had discussed that labor accounting has two types of methods, the timekeeping method and the time booking method. What are these two methods? Timekeeping method is the method which is to record the in-out time of the employee. What is this in-out time? It is the time when the labor enters the factory or the office and the labor exits the factory or office. So it is a mechanism to maintain attendance, but not only the attendance of present and absent, it is the mechanism to maintain attendance of the time for which you are present. That is what is time keeping. Then you have time booking. So this time booking is the time recording of your utilization of time when you are present in the office. So timekeeping only recorded the time you are present. Time booking records the time you have utilized while the time you are present in the office. Technical team, I have joined from my laptop. Please allow me the access and make me the co-host. And I'm exiting from this device. So the aspect relating to accounting of labor is the timekeeping and the time booking aspect. Now, the next thing that we discussed was relating to charging. And when I was explaining you charging, I explained you how does the cost sheet appears. Now, in cost sheet, if you remember, for doing costing of any component of cost, be it material, be it labor, or be it even your overheads, which is the indirect cost, what is required is two things. What are these two things that are required? First, what is required is the quantity of that cost. And the second, that is what is required, is the charging rate or the charging price of that particular cost. Now, when we say quantity, what is this quantity? This quantity is the quantity of that particular cost, which is in case of material kgs or liters or units. In case of labor, it is the labor hours. And then comes the next thing, that is what is the charging price. Now, if you remember, in charging price point, I had explained you that there is a mother formula in costing whereby you have to find out the charging price or the per unit price using that mother formula for whatever you do in entire costing. And the mother formula is, in the numerator you have total cost of that particular component minus scrap value of normal loss. In the denominator you have total inputs of that particular element minus the normal loss units. So when it comes to labor, in the numerator, what you will have the cost to the company. So numerator has cost to company minus, there is no scrap value of labor, so nothing will be minus in the numerator. In the denominator, you have total labor hours available minus the normal loss of labor, which is over here the idle time. That is the time for which the labor was present, but it was lost due to some normal causes, like at the start of the day, starting of the work, some time is lost. Some time is lost when you want to set up the machine to make it ready for the work. So these are the times which get lost at the start of the day. Is this clear to all? Fine, students. So if you understand this, Now let us proceed with what we were doing. So any questions up to this, that is up to whatever we have discussed in the last lecture, before I can take you ahead with the next part of our deliberation. So now I open this to question and answers of our last session, that is whatever we have studied in labor till now. No questions, students? So Tanvi is saying clear, Anubhav is saying clear. Okay. So if everything is clear, so let us then start. So this is all what we discussed last time. I explained you in detail timekeeping, time booking. We understood this charging part in great detail. Also, one very important part that we discussed in the previous session was relating to the accounting aspect. So if you remember, I had also explained this point relating to the accounting aspect. In the accounting aspect, let us say your salary, which is made up of the basic, the allowances, the bonus. So that is what is the monetary portion is rupees 25 lakhs. Besides this, as per the Provident Fund rules, the employer has to contribute 50,000 towards your Provident Fund, and the same amount the employee has to contribute, that is, it will be your contribution. So there is employer's contribution and also there is employee's contribution. Plus, besides this, you have taken some loan. So there is a deduction of some amount towards the loan also, right? So this was some basic data that we discussed relating to the employee. Now, generally, how we have been studying accounting, we have been studying that whenever you have to do accounting, you simply pass the entry wages or salaries to cash bank. But practically, this is not correct. It is never wages or salaries to cash bank. This is the detailed entry that you have. So debit is the cost to company. Now here, what is the cost to company? The company has to pay this 25 lakhs as the main salary portion. Along with that, the company is depositing 50,000 for you. So this 50,000 is also the cost to the company. So the total cost to company is 25 lakhs 50,000. However, this amount is not going to the bank account of the employee. Why it is not going to the bank account of the employee? Because there are certain deductions that the company has to make out of the total salary. What are these deductions? First, the employer's contribution, 50,000, that is not actually given to the employee. It is deducted. Then your portion of contribution is deducted. If there is any loan recovery, that is deducted. And as we all know, there is income tax TDS that is deducted. So this is the net amount which is going to your bank account. So this is the journal entry for the labor. We discussed this last time. I hope this is also very clear to everyone. I'm sure all these things which we discussed in the last lecture are clear and there is no doubts in this. In case there is still any doubt or question, please feel free to ask. Okay. So students are saying it is clear. Excellent. So there are no doubts at all. This is something new. I was expecting that there would be a lot of doubts.
Just a minute. Fine. Now let us proceed to the next part in labor, which is the point relating to the computation of wages. Now, when we come to computation of wages, there are different methods, there are different plans for computing wages. These plans are called as the labor remuneration plans or the labor wages plans. So let us go to that. Now, in the last lecture, we had started discussing this. So what are these plans? These plans are the labor wages or remuneration plans. Now, as you can see, the plans which are today applicable, though they may have started long back, the first plan is the time rate plan. Now, in the time rate plan, how do you compute the labor or the wages? You find out the actual time for which the employee is present and you multiply it by the labor rate which you have fixed per hour. So, actual time present, which you can now call as actual hours, or in short, you can also call as AT, which is actual time, multiplied by the rate per hour, which is the time rate. So this is how you get wages. Let us take, for example, during this particular period for which we are calculating this wages, the particular employee is present for 290 hours and the rate which is fixed by us for this particular employee category is rupees 100 per hour. So the monthly wages, the basic monthly wages which I'll be paying to the employee is 29,000 rupees. I hope this is clear to everyone. I'm just repeating what we discussed in the previous session relating to this. Students, is there some network connectivity issue? I think there was at the start. I have now switched. Just update me if by chance if you're still finding problem. I have switched it to another this network. But if still the problem persists, kindly let me know. Okay, no problem. Whenever there is an issue, please update. Yeah. Now the point is that the wages that I just computed or the method that I've just adopted for computing the wages is called as the time rate. It is also called as simple time rate. It is also called as time wages. It is also called as minimum wages. It is also called as guarantee wages. Please remember these terms because these are the terms which are many times given in the exams. So in order to understand what they are asking, you need to be clear with the terminology. Then comes the second plan. The second plan is the piece rate plan, where you will be making payment to the workers on the basis of the production, the output that they have done. Now, this plan is also called as payment by result, payment by output, or it is simply called as simple piece rate plan. Now, in this particular method, your wages are computed by this formula. You find out the actual output, that is the production that the worker has done during the period, Let us say the production is measured in units. So you find out the output in units, which in my example for this month is 10,000 units that the worker has produced. Now you have to find out the rate which is fixed per unit of output. So how much is the piece rate? Piece rate is the rate which is per piece per unit of output. So in my example, I have considered it as 2.5. So by this method, the wages which I am getting is rupees 25,000. So 29,000 I was getting by time rate, taking these figures. 25,000 I am getting by piece rate. Now, many times the employer adopts one of these methods, or many times the employer adopts the method which is so either the employer will have one of the two methods, or he will have a combination of the method whereby the name of the method given in your exam sum would be piece rate with guaranteed time wages. Now what it means? It means that your actual plan is this piece rate only, but the employer is also assuring that in any case you will get the time wages which is the guaranteed or which is the minimum amount. Now, how to understand this? So whenever in exams you are given this method for computing wages, that is piece rate with guaranteed time wages or piece rate with minimum time wages, what you should do? You should compute the wages by both the methods. Firstly, by the time rate, secondly, by the piece rate, and then your final answer would be higher of the two amounts. So in this example, I got 29,000 by the time rate. I got 25,000 by the piece rate. What you will be considering is higher of the two amounts. So in this example, it would be rupees 29,000. Let us say in the next month, what happens? In the next month, the worker produces units 15,000 in the next month. Now in the next month, the time wages remain same, assuming the worker has worked for the same number of hours. So the time rate remains same. The hours the worker is present in the factory is same. So the wages as per this method is 29,000. However, when you compute the wages as per the piece rate, it is coming to 37,500. So in this period, as per this third category of calculating wages, you will be paying to the worker now 37,500. Why? The simple answer is whenever this type of plan is given in the sum, you have to take higher of the two. That is time rate wages, piece rate wages, whichever is higher. So kindly remember these terminologies that are used in the exam sums so that you will get the perfect answer, because calculations are simple. There is no challenge with the calculation. Only we need to understand the terminology or the language. Is this fine, students? Any questions up to this point? Kindly confirm, students, if you have any questions up to this point. Now, many times in the sum, you will be required to do this type of working, what I'm now going to explain to you. What is this working? This working is, as you can see, I've used the terminology converting time rate to piece rate or converting piece rate to time rate. What is this? This is, now as we saw, there are two basic plans, time rate plan, piece rate plan. Now in the sum, the data given is actual output 12,000 units. Rate per hour rupees 100. Now the data given is like this. You are given your output, which is obviously in quantity, that is units, and the wage rate, the labor rate is given per hour. Now I'm sure students, you will understand and appreciate this point that both these cannot be multiplied to find out the answer for the simple reason. One is my quantity, which is in units, but the other is rate per hour. I cannot multiply quantity by a rate which is per hour. If I do this, the answer which I will be getting will be 100% incorrect. Now, in this particular case, as a part of the solving, my first step would be I have to convert this wage rate which is given per hour to wage rate which is per piece. In simple words, I have to convert time rate to piece rate. Now, how this will be done? For this, what is very important in the question is to find out what is the standard given. Now, what is the standard? Students, let us first understand this concept, which is also important as a theory question. What is a standard? Standard, or here more particularly standard time, is what? It is the time that is expected to complete the work. So the employer may have kept some target. The employer may have kept some time limit that your work should be completed within this time. That time limit which is allowed by the employer to complete the work, the time limit which is fixed by the employer to complete the work is called as standard time. So that is why it is also called as time allowed. So remember this terminology, students, standard time or time allowed. Now comes the most important point. Pay attention, students. I hope the person who is asking for example has got this example. Now, what is the example still I'm explaining? That the employer says that I'm allowing 12 minutes for making one unit. So the standard which is set is that for making one piece of my output, I'm allowing you 12 minutes. This is what is a standard. I hope everybody understood, right? So Rajveer, you are, I think, asking for example. No, not Rajveer. I think Mausam was asking for example. Mausam, but I hope you understood. So many times it happens that when you are given a work, let us say in house, your mommy says, clean this, but ensure that you do it in next 10 minutes. Don't waste the time. So this 10 minutes time which is given to you by your mama for doing that work is what is the standard. Now let us say in this case, the standard which is set by the employer is that for completing or making one unit of the product, you should use or you should take not more than 12 minutes. So 12 minutes is the time allowed, 12 minutes is the standard. Now, when this is the standard, I have to use this standard for converting my time rate to piece rate. How this is done? For this, please understand, you have to find out the standard in terms of the students. If the standard set by the employer is that for one unit, you require 12 minutes or you should take 12 minutes for making one unit, then the question is, in 1 hour, how many units you can make? Can anybody give me the answer? Superb. So you can express standards in different manner. One is what is given, 1 unit is equal to 12 minutes, or the other is 1 hour, 5 minutes. Now, once you have understood this, then we come to the main point, how to convert time rate to piece rate. Now we have something that is, in 1 hour, you are supposed to make 5 units. And at the same time, the rate which is fixed by the employer is also, for 1 hour, the employer will be giving you rupees 100. Now you can equate this. Now both is for 1 hour. So in 1 hour, he wants production of 5 units. And for 1 hour, he is ready to give you 100 rupees. It means for 5 units, he is ready to give you 100 rupees. So by default, for 1 unit, how much he is ready to pay you? Yes, Gurmeet, good. Nisha, very good. Rajveer, very good. Anubhav, Annapurna, sorry. Yes. Then Supriya, Anup Kumar, Mausam, Tanvi, Neeraj, Ankush, Banipreet, Sudarshan, super. Abhisha, no beta, this is not correct. Anandruti, Sujal, excellent, super, super. Yes, Akash, perfect. So, if for 1 hour I want you to make 5 units, and for the same 1 hour I am ready to pay you 100, it means for 5 units I am ready to pay 100. So for 1 unit I am ready to pay rupees 20. This becomes my piece rate. What is piece rate? The rate per unit which I am ready to pay. Same logic you will use whenever you want to convert the rate per unit to rate per hour. So let us say again, you are given the data like this, that the rate per unit which is fixed by the employer is 5. So he is ready to pay you rupees 5 per unit of your production. Now again, what you need to find out is the standard. What is the standard set? The standard set is for one unit, it is, let us say, 6 minutes. So the employer has set the standard as, in 1 unit, the employer wants you to produce, in 6 minutes, the employer wants you to complete 1 unit of output. So this is the standard set. Again, as I said, the standard I need is 1 hour. So if 6 minutes are allowed for 1 unit, then in 1 hour, how much it would be? Good, Nisha, Ankush, Sujal, very good, Mausam, good, Akash, Apisha, Dharani, Mehak, Bortika, Prem, Banpreet, super, Manu, Kumar, Neeraj, Shifa, Rajveer, excellent, excellent. Sudarshan, super. So now you are getting the point. Remember, students, whenever you are solving the labor sums, the formula of calculating wages is simple. No, Rajita, you are not right. So the formula for solving or finding out the wages is simple. What is important is you have to first read the question carefully and analyze the data correctly. Because if your data is not correctly analyzed, and let us say without converting this time rate piece rate, if you solve, it may end up being wrong. Good. Rehana, Tanvi, perfect. Now, so once you have understood this, so if 1 unit requires 6 minutes, then in 1 hour, I am expected to produce 10 units. Now, interestingly, I want to know how much should be my wages per hour, because I want to find out my time rate. Now, interestingly, if you see, the rate which the employer is ready to pay to you for 1 unit of output is rupees 5. In 1 hour, we have found out that he is expecting you to produce 10 units. Now, using this data, can you tell me how much he would be ready to pay you per hour? Wow, superb. Akash, Abhisha, Neeraj, Anup, Anubhav, sorry, you are wrong, beta. Rajveer, good. Rehana, beta, you are wrong. Sudarshan, good. Vishal, Ankush, sorry, you are wrong. Banpreet, Tanvi, Mosam, Pakwana, Gurmeet, Bortika, beta, sorry, you are wrong. Dharni, Jaindra, Rehana, super. So, what I have done, the rate which was given per unit, I have converted to per hour. So please remember, students, this is how you have to convert the time rate to piece rate and the piece rate to time rate as the requirement of the sum is. So whatever is the requirement of the sum, accordingly you will convert time rate, piece rate wherever required. I hope this is clear, because this is what will be required when you are calculating wages by these first three methods: time rate method, piece rate method, or combination of the two. Now, we convert or we go to the next category of calculation of wages, which is called as premium bonus plans. Now, this will require some efforts. This will require some calculation. So please pay attention. Now, in these plans, there are three categories: Halse, Halsewire, and Rowan. Now, these plans are actually, you can say, time rate plans. Now, when I say time rate plans, in time rate, how do you calculate wages? You calculate wages by the formula actual hours into time rate. This is what is a time rate plan. Now, time rate or time wages is calculated by the formula the hours for which you are present in the factory and the rate per hour which is fixed by the employer. Now, this actual hours is now represented by AT. AT stands for actual time. So, what you are saying as actual hours is now called as actual time. Both means one and the same. So, as you can see here, the formula is AT into TR, AT into TR, AT into TR. So what they are going to pay to you initial part is the time wages only. So that is why I said this particular category of wage calculation is based on time wages concept only. So as you can see in all these three categories, what they are going to pay you is the time wages. Now, what is different from the normal or simple time rate plan? In simple time rate, you are only getting time wages irrespective of how good or how excellent you are in your work. In their language, how much efficient you are, that was not paid attention to. So a worker who is producing 100 units, a worker who is producing 120 units, and a worker who is producing 150 units in the same time was getting the same wages in the time rate plan. This is where the time rate was not considered as a very good plan, because an employee who is guided by the psychological and the behavioral factors, what we have been discussing right from previous lecture, will not take any initiative to put extra effort. Why? Because he or she knows that despite of working extra, I'm not going to get anything extra. Now, since he or she is not expecting anything extra, he or she will not be inclined to putting extra efforts. This is where the time rate, which is otherwise a very good method, in fact, it is used extensively in industries, but it has a limitation. To overcome this limitation, these plans said that besides time wages, I will give you bonus. And this bonus will be dependent on your efficiency. So the person who is more efficient would be getting higher bonus. This is where this category of premium bonus plans was devised. So the first category of plans were simple plans, simple time rate, simple freeze rate, and combination of the two. And then you have the second category of plans where you are going to be paid specifically as per your efficiency. Now, what does all these three plans says? That firstly, the time wages I'm guaranteeing you. So I will give you time wages. Whether you are efficient or not efficient, whether you are less efficient, I'll give you time wages. So time wages will be calculated by the formula actual time into time rate, actual time into time rate, actual time into time rate. What will change is the bonus depending on your efficiency. Now, this is where we have to understand these plans. Now, we just understood the concept of standard hours. Now here, for the purpose of this premium bonus plans, I need to find out your efficiency. Now, firstly, efficiency can be calculated as a percentage. How? By the formula standard hours upon actual hours, or standard time upon actual time into 100. So see, these are parallel words: standard hours, standard time, actual hours, actual time. These are parallel words. So first is, I can find out your efficiency as a percentage. Second is, I can express your efficiency in terms of how much time you have saved for me, which will be called as time saved, TS. Now, how do I find out what time you have saved for me? It is the standard time minus the actual time. It is the standard hours minus the actual hours. It is the time allowed minus the time taken. See, these are all parallel terminologies. Different sums use different terminologies. That is why I'm giving you all the wording so that you can keep this in mind, that these are the parallel words. So standard hours minus actual hours is time saved. Standard time minus actual time is time saved. Time allowed minus time taken is also time saved. I'll come to that, beta. I'll explain, Rajveer. Allow me just 1 minute. Now, please understand, till now what I was explaining to you was standard time. What was this standard time? As you can see in both these examples, the standard time was like this. The standard time in the first example was 1 unit is equal to 12 minutes. In the second example, it was 1 unit is equal to 6 minutes, right? This was standard. Now, what is standard hours? What is this standard time? Please understand, this standard time or standard hours means what? One is the concept of standard, which I just explained. Standard hours is equal to hours required to make the actual output as per standard set. So what is standard hours? Standard hours is the time which you should require in order to complete the production of what quantity? Of the quantity which you have actually produced. So understand this. You have produced some number of units by working for the whole day. So I'll give you some data. Let us say the actual hours is 8 hours, which is normally the time which is fixed for a shift. So the employer says everybody will be working for 8 hours, which is your actual time, because everybody was present in my factory for 8 hours. Everybody was working in my factory for 8 hours. So this is your actual hours. Now, what is your standard hours? This is, we will find out how much output everybody has done. And depending on that, we will find out what is your standard hours. Now, I will give you output of 4 workers. What is the output? Worker A produced 80 units, B produced 90 units, C produced 100 units, D produced 120 units. Fine. Now, everybody has worked for 8 hours because the shift is for 8 hours. So everybody was present in the factory for 8 hours. So the actual hours, the actual time, the time taken is 8 hours. Now, I want to find out whatever work everybody has done, what was the time they should have required to complete this work. Now, how this will be found out? This will be again found out by the standard which the employer has fixed. Now, what is the standard which the employer has fixed? The employer has fixed the standard as 1 hour is equal to 11 units. So, or 1 second, it may slightly get complicated. I will say 1 hour is equal to so the employer wants that in 1 hour your output should be 12 units. Now, everybody has made some different quantity. What is standard hours? Standard hours is how much time you should have taken to make these units. Now you have to find out the time that you should have taken to make these units. The time which you should have taken to make these units is your standard hours. So I've given you standard. Standard is 1 hour is 12 units. This is the standard. A has produced 8, B has produced 9, C has produced 100, D has produced 120. Now tell me how much time everybody should have required to make their respective production. Yes, tell me, you can give me answers like A, B, C, D. For everyone, you can tell me how much time they should have required to make this production, whatever they have done. Ashish, beta, I'll request that you be here. Don't worry. Whatever I am explaining today is totally new than what we studied in the previous lecture. So please be patient. You will understand maybe in due course. So be patient, beta. Rajveer, I want to find out in hours how much time every employer should have required to complete the work that they have done. Now, simply how you'll find it out? By this simple formula that employer says in 1 hour you complete 12 units. Now, if somebody has completed 80 units, so 80 divided by 12 is the time that the person should have taken to complete this. So 80 divided by 12, how much it is? That is your answer. Similarly, 90 divided by 12, how much it is? That is your answer. Perfect. Good. Many of you all are getting right. It is 6.66 hours it is 7.5 hours, correct? Then it is 8.33 hours, and it is 10 hours. So this is the time they should have taken to complete this output. So please understand what is standard time. Standard time is the time that these workers should have taken to do the same work. Now comes the concept of time saved. What is time saved? Time saved is the time you should have taken to do the work and the time that you have actually taken to do the work. So for A, for B, for C, for D, the formula is time saved is what? Time saved is time allowed minus time taken. Standard hours minus actual hours. Standard time minus actual time. Well, first write down the standard time, that is the time they should have taken. And from this, I'll deduct the actual time that they have actually taken. Now, how much time they have actually taken is the time for which they were present in the factory. That is 8 hours for everyone. Now, from this, you will understand how we get to know everybody's efficiency by calculating the time saved. Now, you should have done the work in 6.66 hours as per my standard, but you did it in 8 hours. So you were slow. Did you save my time? No. In fact, you have lost the time. So for me, it is negative. So there is no time saving. We will not put negative, we'll simply write nil. Similarly, the second worker B, whatever output the worker has done, he should have completed that in 7.5 hours. The worker took 8 hours. Again, it is not a good speed. You have again wasted some time. So is there any time saved? No. Now see, wherever the time saved is coming as negative or nil, it means your efficiency is less. However, worker C has achieved some efficiency because worker C was able to do the work faster and he has saved some time of mine. So worker C will be considered as an efficient worker. I hope you are getting this. Similarly, worker D, how much time he has saved? 2 hours. Correct? Any questions? Now, whoever has questions on time saved can be ask me, please. So firstly, I hope Rajveer, you got your answer because you were the first one who had raised some questions relating to this. Now, Rehana, who else is having a question? The time allowed is 8 hours, which is standard time, right? No, beta, Rehana. 8 hours was not allowed. Please understand, this is what is the language that you have to understand. See, I made you be present in my factory for 8 hours. So 8 hours is the actual time you are present. Correct? So you are present in my factory for 8 hours. 8 hours is your actual time. If I have to put it in their language, it is the time taken to do the same work. Correct? So for doing the same work, you have taken 8 hours. Understand this. Now, Rehana, answering the second question that you have raised. Please understand, students, there is some confusion which I appreciate. Firstly, 8 hours is what? 8 hours is the actual time or the time taken. That is the time which you have actually used for doing this production, right?
Good
Tanvi,
morning,
I
sir.
want you to just wait for a minute.
Okay.
So, understand the students, 8 hours is the time which you have actually taken to do the work. Now, as per my standard, What is a standard? You can say it is the speed with which I want you to work. Whatever output you did, like here, this person did 80 units. As per my speed, the work should have been completed in only 6.66 hours, which is according to now my words standard time or standard hours. So this is the time in which you should have completed my work. This is the time in which you actually completed the work. So first understand 8 hours is the actual time and not the standard time. I hope this is clear. Particularly Rehana, this was your question. Second, when you calculate time saved is standard minus actual and not actual minus standard. Why? Because again, Rehan, I'm answering your question because you should have completed in 6.66 hours, you completed in 8 hours, so you took more time. So you did not save my time. In fact, as per the data, your speed was slow. Correct? Yes, Tanvi.
सर
Tanvi, you
सेम डाउट. यस सर. सर वॉइस आ रही है.
आ रही है बेटा, बोलो.
सर यूनिट्स भी तो कम ही मतलब प्रोड्यूस किए हैं और टाइम भी कम लिया है, तो फिर वो समझ नहीं आया मुझे कि
नहीं नहीं
लिंक
बेटा, एक
कैसे
चीज
हुआ.
समझो. टाइम तो आपने 8 घंटे ही लिया है क्योंकि 8 घंटे का मेरा शिफ्ट है. ये 4 वर्कर्स है जिन्होंने आज 8 घंटे के शिफ्ट में इतना इतना आउटपुट किया. करेक्ट?
ओके सर.
अब मैंने क्या निकाला, इस आउटपुट के हिसाब से जो मैंने स्पीड दी थी वो स्पीड के हिसाब से आपका टाइम कितने घंटे में हो जाना चाहिए था ये आउटपुट. तो आपने जितना आउटपुट बनाया, ऑब्वियसली क्योंकि वो कम है तो स्पीड के हिसाब से आपने कम आवर्स में वो काम कर लेना चाहिए था ना.
मतलब सर कि 8 आवर्स में उन्होंने 80 प्रोड्यूस किया एंड बी ने 90 प्रोड्यूस किया और डी ने 120 किया. बट
करेक्ट.
80 80 यूनिट्स प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए एक्चुअल टाइम लगना चाहिए 6.66 आवर्स, बट उन्होंने 8 आवर्स किया.
तो वो स्लो थे, इसलिए वो एफिशिएंट कम थे, तो उनका टाइम सेव 0 आया, मतलब नेगेटिव आया. हम 0 पकड़ते हैं. सिमिलरली बी ने जो
ओके
90
सर.
यूनिट्स बनाए, उसने बना लेने चाहिए थे 7.5 घंटे में. समझ रहा है?
यस सर, अभी समझ में आ गया.
कि
थैंक यू सर.
स्टैंडर्ड आवर्स कम, जो आप बोलो ना यूनिट्स भी कम आ रहे हैं, आवर्स भी कम आ रहे हैं, तो स्टैंडर्ड कम इसीलिए आ रहे हैं क्योंकि स्टैंडर्ड मैंने स्टैंडर्ड से निकाला है. सी स्टैंडर्ड इज व्हाट, एक फिक्स लाइन रहती है भाई, ये स्टैंडर्ड है. अपन बोलते हैं ना ये स्टैंडर्ड पे आपने रहना चाहिए, ये आपका एक स्टैंडर्ड होना चाहिए काम करने का, पढ़ाई करने का. अब अगर आपका उससे नीचे है तो यू विल ऑलवेज बी कंसिडर्ड एज लेस एफिशिएंट. अगर आपका वर्क उससे ऊपर है, यू विल बी कंसिडर्ड एज मोर एफिशिएंट. करेक्ट?
यस सर.
सो
क्लियर सर. थैंक यू सर.
the formula for time saved is standard time minus actual time. Correct?
यस सर.
Good. Nisha, again, no worker is given different time allowed, but whatever output they have done, since their output done is different, so automatically जो टाइम अलाउ होगा उस आउटपुट को वो अलग ही आएगा ना. हमने वर्कर को अलग टाइम नहीं अलाउ किया है. सी एक चीज समझो, आप 8 घंटे पढ़ रहे हो, 8 घंटे में आपने 50 सम सॉल्व किए, मैंने 40 सम सॉल्व किए. अब हमको निकालना है कि किस स्टूडेंट का एफिशिएंसी अच्छा है, किस स्टूडेंट का नॉलेज अच्छा है, कौन सा स्टूडेंट ज्यादा शार्प है. तो वो आप शार्प हो क्योंकि आपने उसी 8 घंटे के पीरियड में जहां पे मैंने 40 सम सॉल्व किए, आपने 50 सम सॉल्व किए. हमें इंस्टीट्यूट ने अलग अलग टाइम अलाउ नहीं किया. इंस्टीट्यूट ने हमें बोला भाई आज 8 घंटे आपको पढ़ना है, और 8 घंटे में उन्होंने हमको एक क्वेश्चन बैंक दे दिया, बोला सॉल्व करो. अब क्या होगा निशा, जो वर्कर ज्यादा एफिशिएंट है, that worker will be solving more sums. Like let us say you are more efficient, you are more smart, you are more sharp in studies, you will solve more sums. If I'm less efficient, my number of sums would be lesser. So आपने जो सवाल पूछा कि इंस्टीट्यूट हैज गिवन डिफरेंट टाइम अलाउड, नो, सबको एक्चुअल टाइम सेम दिया है 8 घंटे, मगर क्योंकि सबने उस 8 घंटे में अलग अलग नंबर ऑफ सम सॉल्व किए, तो अब इंस्टीट्यूट क्या बोलता है, अच्छा चलो मैं अपने स्पीड के हिसाब से निकालता हूं, जो मेरा स्टैंडर्ड है कि आपने 1 घंटे में कितने सम सॉल्व करने चाहिए थे, उस हिसाब से अगर मैंने 40 सम किए हैं तो मेरा वो काम कितने घंटे का है, 7 घंटे का ही है. आपने 50 सम किए तो आपका वो काम कितने घंटे का है, 9 घंटे का है. सो दिस इज व्हाट इज द स्टैंडर्ड. सो इंस्टीट्यूट हैज नॉट अलाउड अस डिफरेंट टाइम. इंस्टीट्यूट तो चाहता था कि सब लोग 8 घंटे में अच्छे से अच्छा सॉल्व करें, मैक्सिमम सॉल्व करें, बट बिकॉज ऑफ आवर रिस्पेक्टिव स्पीड्स एंड एफिशिएंसी हम सबका आउटपुट कम हुआ. इसलिए जो हमारा स्टैंडर्ड आवर्स आ रहा है वो कम आ रहा है। यस गुरमीत, दिस इज द रियल लाइफ कॉन्सेप्ट। एक चीज समझो गुरमीत, अभी जो मैं आपको एग्जांपल दे रहा था, जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना ये स्टूडेंट ज्यादा होशियार है, ये स्टूडेंट ज्यादा स्मार्ट है, ये ज्यादा शार्प है, वो कैसे डिसाइड करते हैं? ऐसे ही तो करते हैं। हम क्या देखते हैं दिन में, भाई तूने कितना सॉल्व किया और मैंने कितना सॉल्व किया। So in fact, these concepts are used in real life for evaluating which worker is more efficient, so that जो अभी हम प्लान सीख रहे हैं, that worker will be given higher wages. That is the main point. तो मुझे जो ज्यादा स्मार्ट है, जो ज्यादा एफिशिएंट है, मैं उसको ज्यादा पगार दूंगा, और ज्यादा भी इसीलिए दूंगा ताकि वो रिटेन रहे, बिकॉज आई ऑल्सो वांट टू रिटेन गुड वर्कर्स। इज दिस क्लियर बेटा गुरमीत? See, Abhisha, time taken, actual time, actual hours. These are parallel words. So, actual hours को ही actual time कहते हैं, actual time को ही time taken कहते हैं. Correct? So that is why I've written all parallel words, because in your exam sums they may be using words interchangeably. See, exam sums को या questions को difficult कैसे कर सकते हैं हम? By using different terms. तो I have given you all the terms that would be used. तो आपने कितना समय लगाया वो काम करने को, दैट इज योर एक्चुअल टाइम, दैट इज अ टाइम टेकन, क्योंकि आपने वो टाइम लगाया वो करने को। और मेरे हिसाब से आपने वो काम कितने में कर लेना चाहिए था, दैट इज द टाइम विच आई एम अलाउइंग यू टू डू द सेम वर्क, दैट इज द स्टैंडर्ड टाइम, दैट इज द स्टैंडर्ड आवर्स। इज दिस क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स? नाउ आई एक्सप्लेन यू द 3 प्लान्स। अब तीनों प्लान्स जिसको प्रीमियम बोनस प्लान्स कहा गया है, द बेसिस इज यू विल बी गेटिंग द टाइम वेजेस, plus I will give you some extra for your efficiency, which is the bonus. Now the main plans are only 2 out of the 3 main plans are only 2. Halsey, Rowan. What does Halsey says? Firstly, I'll give you wages for your time worked. So your actual hours, that is actual time into time rate. So ये first part of this calculation is your simple time rate or time wages, which we studied at the start. But I also want to reward you for your higher efficiency. How this will be done? मैं आपको आपके टाइम सेव्ड के लिए भी पगार दे रहा हूं. So how I am rewarding you for your efficiency? I want to give you pagar, or I want to remunerate you even for the time you have saved for me. So automatically what will happen? Only more efficient workers are having time saved. So automatically my reward will be going to only the more efficient workers, because only they are having time saved. The workers who are less efficient will not get bonus. Yes, all are going to get time wages, because this is what I want, that everybody should get the minimum wages. But when we come to bonus, they will not get bonus because they are not efficient. They will get bonus, and also their bonus will vary. This person will get bonus for the time saved, which is 0.33. This person will get bonus for the time saved, which is 2 hours. Now, what is important is Halsey says, I will pay 50% of this amount as bonus. So for time saved, you first find out the value, how time saved into time rate. In short, we find out your wages for the time saved. आपने जितना मेरा टाइम बचा है मैं उसका भी पगार निकाल रहा हूँ, और वही पगार मैं आपको बोनस में दे रहा हूँ. सो फर्स्टली एवरीबडी विल गेट पगार फॉर 8 hours, which is the basic time wages, but only few people will get extra time for the time they have saved for me. And how that will be calculated? That will be calculated by finding out your time saved and multiplying it by time rate. Now the only point is Halsey says I will give you only half of this time saved. Then there is a variation in Halsey, which is called as Halsey wire, which says that I will give you 30% for the time saved wages. So as bonus, I will give you 30% of your time saved wages. Now in exams, when they only say Halsey, you have to use 50%. When they will say Halsey where, or they will say Halsey 30%, then you will use 30% over here. So keep in mind, main plan is Halsey. So if nothing is given, only Halsey is mentioned, you'll use 50%. Now comes to Rowan. Rowan method is, again, he is giving you time wages. Plus, he says, as bonus, what I will give you is a slightly mathematical calculation. What is this mathematical calculation? In numerator, he is taking time saved. In denominator, he is taking standard time. So be clear with the terminologies. Numerator is time saved, denominator is the standard time or standard hours. Multiplying it by your time wages only. What was time wages? Actual time into time rate. See here, time wages was actual time into time rate. Here also you take time wages only. The thing is that you multiply this time wages by this ratio, the ratio of time saved upon standard time. So this is how row 1 gives you the reward or wages. Correct? Now I'm sure maybe just telling you the formula may not give you a picture. So before I take you to the actual exam problems, let me take a simple example to understand all these plans. So what we are going to do now is we have to calculate wages. For the following workers. Now, what is the data given? Standard is 1 hour is equal to 10 units. So this is the standard given. Time rate given is 1 hour is equal to rupees 20. Now, workers have worked for 8 hours and their output is. Now here I give you data of, so we'll take 4 workers. What is the data given in the sum? The data given in the sum is actual output. For A it is 90 units, B it is 110 units, C it is 80 units, and D it is 120 units. 1 second. Okay, here I do 70. Now this is the data given. Let us practice all the plans that we have studied, right? Now, you should always find out in the sum standard time, that is standard hours. From that you deduct actual hours. Please remember standard time, actual time, these are the parallel words, or standard hours, actual hours. Deduct this, so you'll get your time saved. We first calculate this, and then we will calculate wages by all the plans that we have studied. First is the simple time wages. Here your answer is actual time into time. Then we'll find out by simple piece wages. Here your answer is actual output into piece rate. Now I'm sure you understand that in this sum only time rate is given. So piece rate is not given, which you will calculate by what I had explained earlier, how to convert time rate to piece rate. Then you will solve by the Halsey plan. Halsey plan, what is the formula? Actual time into time rate plus 50% of the wages for time saved. And then you will also solve by the row 1 plan. The formula is actual time into time rate plus time saved upon standard time into again actual time into time rate. So we will practice all the 4 plans, which are the basic plans. And for this is the type of example. So this is not exactly how exam question sums. I have simplified it, but the solving of exam sums, the only difference between exam sum and this sum is I have simplified the question by giving straightforward data. When we read the exam sums or we'll solve few of the exam sums, you'll find that over there slightly the data is complicated by the language that they are using. That is the only difference. But remember one thing, students, the format of working will be same. See, majority in your exams, they will be asking you Halsey row 1. And for Halsey row 1, you require time saved. So when you are solving your exam sums, the answer will be exactly in this format. So that is why it also, to explain you the format of solving, I have intentionally taken this simple basic example. So from this example, we will practice all the four major plans of calculating wages, and also you'll get the broad format. So this should be your format. Write down the output. On the basis of output, calculate the standard hours. From that, deduct the actual hours. You'll get time saved. Then if these two plans are asked, find out the wages as per these two plans. Now for the second plan, that is simple piece wages, you will require the piece rate. So use the technique that I had explained, converting time rate to piece rate. Find out the piece rate first, then start solving this. So you'll find out the wages as per time wages, you will find out the wages as per piece wages, and then find out Hulse and Rowan, for which you'll require time saved, which we have already calculated here. Correct, students? So remember, this is your format. So I give you 5 minutes. You have to start finding out the answers. Don't type anything in the chat box right now. Just find out the answers first. Then we will discuss the answers and we will go forward. Chalo, 5 minutes. In this 5 minutes, anybody also wants that washroom break and all, that is, you can do. Some people have written message, done, sir. Wow, that's great. Super. So I'll just give you the answers for your cross verification. So see, firstly, I'll convert the time rate to piece rate, which is very important. Now, how we'll do that? Standard given is 1 hour, you should make 10 units. And same for 1 hour, I'm ready to pay you rupees 20. So what is my piece rate as per the calculations we had discussed earlier? So the piece rate will come to rupees 2 per unit. Now, if I have to find out my standard hours, what will be my standard hours here? It will be 7, 11, 8, 12. What is my actual 8, 8, 8, 8? Here there is no time saved. Here it is 3 hours. Here it is no time saved. Here it is 4 hours. Right? Now, time wages, everybody will get same. Everybody will get for 8 hours at the rate of rupees 20. So everybody gets 160. So this is where time wages is considered as not so perfect plan. Reason is there is no motivation for efficient workers. And if you remember in the last lecture, I had explained that if you are not motivating your efficient workers by giving them better wages or giving them more wages as compared to the less efficient workers, over a period of time, they will lose their motivation. They will start producing less, which will not be a very good thing for the company. So you had the piece wage plan, which says that, okay, do one thing, pay everybody as per the actual output. Now this sounds good because the person who is highly efficient will get more wages. But then this again has a drawback. The drawback is those people who are less efficient, like in this case A, the person may get a very low wages. Again, as a human being, I have some basic necessities which I have to support and cater to. If I'm getting very low wages, there is a good possibility that I'm not able to meet my basic necessities, and that again is a demotivating factor. That is why it is always said that you should give your employees a minimum basic wages always. So this is where piece wage plan is also having some drawbacks, whereby it is not giving you the minimum wages, and that may be not considered as a good sign for a wage system. That is why they have come up with the third plan, which is piece wages with minimum time wages, where you simply take higher of the two, or better than that is you can go to these premium bonus plans. So in this premium bonus plans, the first part of the wages is your time wages. So this is 160, this is 160. Now this will change, the bonus will change as per the time saved and efficiency. Now in first case, here and here, there is no time saved. So these people are going to get only the basic time wages. However, here, since there is some time saved, they will get extra wages. Now this person have saved 3 hours. So you will find out his bonus for 3 hours by taking the wages for 3 hours. So how much will be the time wages for 3 hours? The time wages for 3 hours would be 3 hours into rupees 20. So the time wages for 3 hours is 60 rupees, but under the Halse plan, we give only half. So you will give 60, half of 60 is 30. So how much you are going to give to this person? The basic time wages of 160 plus the bonus of 30, that is 190. Similarly, how much this person will get? 160. 160 plus bonus for 4 hours. For 4 hours, what will be the time wages? It will be at the rate of rupees 20. So it will come to rupees 80. Half of 80 is rupees 40. So you'll pay 200. Now, how do you find out this? That is this and this under row 1. So firstly, you are giving the time wages, which is 160. Now, main working is this. Many times students get confused with this. So I'm explaining this for those who could not compute. So numerator is time saved, denominator is standard time. So how much is time saved? 3 hours. How much is standard time? 11 hours multiplied by the time wages, which is 160. So this will be the row 1 calculation for B. So first is the time wages, then 3 hours upon 11 hours, which is time saved upon standard time, again into time wages. Similar working How much is the working? Okay, somebody has given me the answer. Thank you, Beda. Similar working for D 160, which is the time wages. Now, how much is the time saved? It is 4 hours upon standard, which is 12 hours into again 160. Correct? Is it 212.8 or is it 213.333? Just confirm. So this is 160. So students, see, this is how the workings happen. Is this clear? All the plans? Super. Now let me take you to exam sums. Now see, exam sums are no different. You have to do these same things only. The only difference is exam sums are slightly language driven, where you need to understand the language that is asked in the sum, and according to the language, you have to solve the answer. So let me take you, Abhisha Beda, please check. I was also getting something 0.33 only. Just recheck, Beda. So let me take you to some exam problems which are language driven problems. Okay. See, first we have some simple problems like this, which we just discussed. So following is the particulars relating to three workers ABC, normal rate per hour, which is the time rate, piece rate. So both rates are given, your standard given. In 1 hour, they want you to produce 2 units. So everything is given. And then they have said that you have worked for 40 hours. So 40 hours is your actual time. Every worker has produced different units of output, so they will have different standard hours, and then accordingly you will find out their time saved. So see, these are some very basic sums. What we did just now, the same thing is, but it is given in language which you have to interpret, right? Now let me take you to slightly different types of sums where some language adjustment is there. So you need to slightly pay attention to the language so that you can compute it properly. So let me take you to 1 or 2 language driven sums also. First, I'll take you to the language driven sums of Halser-Owen. Then I'll take you to language driven sums, which is for something else. Now see, this question. Here, these are 2 language driven sums where they have asked you to compute Halser-Owen, either both or one of them. But it is not only that, they are asking you to do something more. Now in this, the first sum 7 is very easy, not a problem at all. 7 is again language driven. Okay, Abhisha, let us keep that minor difference aside. Let us focus on the language part. Now see, I'm reading the sum. This 7th I won't solve because it is solving is very easy. Just I want to explain you something. See how the language sums are drafted. So ultimately the working part is totally what we have just studied, but the language you need to interpret so that you can correctly work the sum. So during 1 week, a workman manufactured 200 articles. So here this sum is only of 1 worker. So either it will be 2-3 workers or it would be 1 worker. Anyways, you have to read and understand. So he receives wages for guaranteed 44-hour week. Now see, these are some language points. What does it mean? It means that his actual hours or actual time is 44 in a week. Okay, so the only language is what he received wages for guaranteed 44-hour week. So actual time is 44. Time rate is 15 per hour. Now, what is the standard given? Time estimate to produce 1 article is 15 minutes. So they are given standard like this. See, this is how you have to decode the sum, correct? You have to convert it into our format for your simple understanding and solving. So see, these are language sums. They're not difficult. Only the thing is they have not straightforward given you the data. So like, see how I'm marking the data, you also start marking. But what is interesting in this is, see, this is a normal standard. 1 unit is equal to 15 minutes, correct? However, what they have said that when you want to compute wages under Halser-Owen, this standard time, which is also called as time allowed, has to be increased by 20%. So this is interesting. So they are saying that for Halser-Owen calculation, increase this standard by 20%. So now it will be 18 minutes. Correct? So see, this is what is the language. So original standard was this. However, while computing Halser-Owen, as we know, we find out standard hours, and from standard hours, we find out time saved. They are saying, so for doing that, you have to first increase the standard by 20 minutes. So what I did was I first wrote their standard 1 unit is 15 minutes. But for the purpose of Halser-Owen, I will have to add 20%. So my new standard is 1 unit is equal to 18 minutes. Now, we're asking you to calculate the wages. Time rate, we all know, actual time into time rate. Then piecework with guaranteed weekly wages. I already explained. For this, you first find out the piece wages and then take higher of time wages and piece wages. This will be answer for B. And then for Rowan and Halsey, you'll use the formula. Correct? So see how the language plays a role. Correct, students? I just want to explain you this. See, Abhisha, this is what I explained. What is this 44-hour weeks? See, this is the language to tell you that you have worked for 44 hours. Correct? So what is a 44-hour week? So like how I say my one shift is for 8 hours. So I'll say a shift is of 8 hours. Similarly, I'm saying a week is for 44 hours. It means in a week, I'm asking you to be present in my factory for 44 hours. Understood, beta? Correct, na? See, this is what I want to explain you by taking all these examples. So I'm not going for calculation for each sum because that may take a lot of time. Instead, I want to explain you the different language varieties so that we are able to cover maximum variety of sums. Fine. Okay. Now let me take you to the second language variety. A worker takes 6 hours to complete a job under a scheme of payment by results. Okay. The standard time allowed for the job is 9 hours. So actual hours he has taken is 6. Standard hours which he is allowed is 9. I hope you are understanding the language, everything what we are discussing. Correct? Very good. Now something interesting, something different from the above sums. The material cost for this job is rupees 160. And it is further saying that OH means overheads are to be charged at the rate of 150% of direct wages. Fine. What they are asking you to do is they are asking you to calculate the factory cost. So slightly this sum is combination of, you can say, labor and also your cost sheet, right? This they want you to compute under the Halsey and the Rowan plans. Now see, you'll understand this. This is not at all a special sum or a technical sum. Simply the language asks you to prepare a cost sheet both under Rowan and Halsey, and where you have to calculate factory cost, for which you require direct material, direct wages, and factory overheads. Direct material, they have said it is 160. Factory overheads, they have said you calculate direct wages, and how much is factory overheads? It is 150%. So whatever direct wages you get, take 150% of that. Now this total will be your factory cost. Now the only thing that is required is calculating this direct wages. So I'll say calculation of direct wages. Now what are the plans? Halser-Owen. So you start with standard hours. You deduct actual hours. So 9 hours, 6 hours. You get time saved as 3 hours. And then apply the formula of Halsey and Rowan to find out the wages. Once you have computed the wages, put it over here. Now, while calculating this, multiply this by 150%. Multiply this by 150%. You will get the overheads. And adding it will give you the factory cost. So see, the questions are not difficult. Just you need to understand the language used. I hope this is clear, students. You are getting the answer, the feel of these questions. Good. Super. Let us proceed. Excellent. Now again, this is a language sum. It appears to be slightly technical because it is lengthy, but once you read, once you interpret the things, you'll find that it is very easy. What it says, a company is in process of introduction of wage incentive scheme. it has taken up study of the output of 3 workers. So we have 3 workers. Each worker produces identical products. So for all the standards should be same because they are making the same thing, but the output varies because their efficiencies are different. Now, respectively, they have produced this. So what is this? This is your actual output in a shift of 8 hours. So what is this? This is actual hours. The daily wages are guaranteed at. So this is your time rate. And the piece rate, this is your, no. And the piece rate is based on standard output of 4 units. So they have given you the standard, which is 1 hour is equal to 4 units. Now this you can use for calculating the piece rate. So now we can calculate the piece rate. For 1 hour, I'm ready to pay you 5 rupees. In 1 hour, I want 4 units. So my piece rate will come to, see these calculations you should start doing when you're reading the sum. So students, my piece rate would come to how much? Super. Very good. Supriya, Anup Kumar. No, Neeraj, you're not right. Yes, good. Perfect. So Prem, right. Pratidnya, right. Ankush, good. No, Rajveer, not correct. Anubhav, correct. Awesome, correct. Super. So it will be 1.25. Now see what they are asking you to do. The company is considering the wage calculation under the time rate, under the piece rate, under the halsey, under the row. So all the 4 plans they want, and they want you to calculate it under each of the methods. What do they want to calculate for the workers? What will they earn under all the 4 methods in the 8-hour shift? So you have to find out the wages of the workers under all the 4 methods. So something like the working which I showed my first sum, same working. Then effective earnings per hour. Now this, if you remember, we had discussed in the last lecture. What is effective earnings per hour? It is also your charging rate. How do you find out? Here you have found out the total earnings, correct? Which is your total earnings, which is also the cost to the company, divided by actual hours. So whatever earnings you will calculate, when you divide the earnings by actual hours, you get the effective earnings per hour. And then find out the wages per unit. So how this will be calculated? Again, calculate the total earnings, which is your total wages, divided by actual output. Again, I say, please read the question. So in short, if I have to explain, this is what you did. So you calculated wages of all the workers under 4 plans. Now, what you have to do is simply divide these wages by actual hours to find out the answer of effective rate, effective earnings per hour. Again, do the same thing. Take these wages divided by actual output. So first you divide it by actual hours. Now divide this wages by actual output, and you will get your labor cost per unit. So these are the 2 additional workings they want. So this you will do for all the plans. So for all the plans, find out the total earnings, what we all already doing. And along with total earnings, find out earnings per hour, which will be effective earnings per hour. Find out per unit, which will be your earnings per unit or the labor cost per unit. So see, the same format will be required, same calculations required, only 2 small additional data, which is simple. Divide by hours, divide by units. You get the answers. Is this clear, students? Are you getting the language? Sir, in exam, we have to use full forms in formula, or we can just write short forms. Don't worry, Beta Gurmeet. Please go ahead with short forms. Don't waste much time in writing the full forms, at least here. Not so compulsory. Correct? Now I'll take you to some special language adjustments. Now this is going to be interesting, correct? You'll enjoy this because this is the real English language. challenge. And see, don't worry, students, even I am saying English language challenge, it is a fun. It is not necessary that you need to understand everything at the start. Things may take time, be patient. Now, what is another language adjustment? See, what it is saying? A skilled worker is paid guaranteed wage rate of rupees 30 per hour. So I'll first write, it is what? It is my time rate. Then the standard time per unit for a particular product is 4 hours. So here they have given me the standard like this: 1 unit is equal to 4 hours. Be clear. Huh? Till now we were writing 1 hour is equal to so many units. Now they have said 1 unit is equal to 4 hours. Fine. Now P, one of the machine men, has been paid wages under row 1. So the plan which is given for P is row 1. Now the language adjustment, please pay attention. He had earned effective hourly rate of rupees 37.5. 37.5 is not his total wages. 37.5 is his effective earning per hour. Now, what is effective earning per hour? For the previous example, I had explained you. How do you find out effective earning per hour? Effective earning per hour is calculated as total earnings upon actual hours. That is your effective earning per hour, correct? Right, that is your effective earnings per hour. What they are asking is what could have been his total earnings and also effective earnings under the Halse plan. So this is what they have asked. What could be his total earnings and what could be his effective earnings per hour, but under the Halse plan. Now we'll say, sir, they have already given you the answer for row 1. What is so special? The special is when we read this sum again, you will find that for Halse and row 1, we require the data time rate we have, we require standard that we have, but we require one more thing, which is actual hours, so that we can find out time saved. This is not there. Now, what is the special language adjustment? You require 3 figures for Halse row: standard, actual, and time rate. Out of that, 1 figure is missing. But interestingly, what they have done, since they have not given you this figure, they have given some other figure. So this is again an interesting language adjustment. I call this as the missing information sum. Why missing information sum? Because this is one of the information which is otherwise given in every sum, on the basis of which you find out the answer. Here it is ulta. They have given you the answer. They have given you one of the figures from the answer, but then they have not given you one of the figures from the information. So that is the beauty. How will you solve? See, for all missing information sums, be it from any chapter, be it from any subject, like you'll get this type of sums, which I am calling as missing information sum, in 2 types of subjects, this costing and another FM, in different chapters. So in different chapters, you will get these 2 types of cases. Fine, both in costing and in FM. Now, whenever you get this type of cases, whether in costing or in FME in any chapter, your approach should be what? You should start with the answer that they have given. I repeat, you should start with the answer they have given. What they have given? They have given effective earnings per hour. How do you find out this effective earnings per hour? You find out total earnings and you divide it by actual hours. This is effective earnings per hour. Correct? Now, for Halse row, you require time saved. Time saved is standard hours minus actual hours. In the given sum, I am having standard hours as 4 hours. Correct? Now? Yes, 1 unit is 4 hours. So I am given standard as 4 hours. I am not having actual. So let me call it as actual only. See, in maths, you have the habit of writing, assume it as x, assume it as y. Let us not do that, because the moment you start writing x, y, you suddenly feel you are doing maths, and then there is another psychological problem. Let us not get into any type of psychological problem. So time saved for me is this: standard hours minus actual hours, which is this. Actual hours I'm not knowing, I'll call it as actual hours only. Now, they have said that presently he's getting his earning under row 1. And under row 1, his effective earnings per hour is 37.5. Correct? Is equal to total earnings. Total earnings by which formula? Row 1. What is the formula? Actual hours, which I don't know, into time rate. How much is my time rate of this sum? My time rate of this sum is 30. So actual hours into 30 plus time saved is this 4 hours minus actual hours upon standard is 4 hours into correct, and this whole divided by actual hours, which again I do not know. Now I take this actual hours on this side. So what I get is 37.5 into actual hours is equal to, I open this bracket. So it is 30 into actual hours, first figure, plus correct. See, I'm going much detailed so that everybody understands. You can shorten this by doing some calculations in the same step. Now here we have this plus this whole, correct? Now since this is plus, I'll bring over here, it will become minus. So 30 actual hours, 37.5 actual hours. What I'm left with is 7.5 actual hours, correct? Is equal to, now here you have 4 actual hours, sorry, 4 hours minus actual hours into 30 actual hours upon 4 hours. So I bring this 4 hours here, right? Please understand, now I'm merging two steps. I'll bring 4 hours here. So here it is divided by, here it will be multiplied by, and this 30 hours which is multiplied by here, I'll bring it here, so it will be divided by. So 4 hours into 7.5. So 7.5 into 4, correct? What is 4 into 7.5? It is 30. So I'll get 30 actual hours upon this 30. So upon 30 actual hours, and this is equal to 4 minus actual hour. Now this upon this will be 1. So what I'm left over here is 1 is equal to 4 minus actual hours. Therefore, my actual hours is 3 hours. Super. Before me already Nisha and Sunil had calculated this. Very good. So I get the missing information, which is the actual hours. Now, after I get the actual hours, everything becomes easy. They have asked me to calculate Halsey earnings. They've asked me to calculate earnings per hour under Halsey. All this will be done easily. So I'm sure now once you have got actual hours, finding out this and this should not be a challenge, correct? So see students, this is how you have these different types of language sums which you have to cater to, right? Now just I'm moving ahead by now taking up the next type of sum. Just 1 minute, I'll put my phone on charger. So students, I hope you all have understood how these sums are. So now let me take you to some more practical things in this chapter so that we complete each and every aspect from this chapter. So we have completed up to the plans, correct? Superb, Abhishek. It is correct. It is 105 by Halsey. You are right. Fine, students. Now pay attention. Now some theory also and some remaining pointers. So now the next point is that now whatever we calculated was your wages for the direct workers. Now the next point is how do you calculate wages for the indirect workers? Now wages for indirect workers is always calculated by the time rate method only. So there is generally no other method. However, the question is how do you find out the incentives for your indirect workers? So for that we have some special points. First is the theory question is what is the reason or need to give them incentives? So your answer is obviously, if you are not giving them incentives, the same problem what we discussed for direct workers will happen. They will not have motivation, they will reduce their efficiency and output. Most importantly, we feel that okay, anyways, they are indirect workers, so how it will affect? Please understand, even though direct workers are doing your production, but indirect workers are doing the work which support the work of direct workers. If indirect workers do not perform their work with efficiency, it will have a direct impact on the working of the direct workers, so their output may get affected. Like one of the examples is your indirect worker is a supervisor, your indirect worker is a foreman, your indirect worker is a repairs staff. Now, if these people are not working with efficiency, they are actually doing what? They are supporting the work of your direct worker. Like supervisor is supervising the work of direct worker, or repairs maintenance staff is maintaining the machine so that the machine is in good condition. Now, if you are not giving them incentives, the problem would be, or the problem could be, that they will have the same psychological and behavioral issues because of which they will reduce their output, they will reduce their efficiency, which will directly affect my output given by the direct workers. So this is why we should also plan incentive schemes for them. Now comes, even if you understand the need to give them incentive, the biggest challenge is that since they are indirect workers, giving them incentives is difficult. Why it is difficult to give them incentives? Because these people are not involved in the production directly. That is, they are not actually giving you any output. They are only doing the support function. When they are doing the support function and not giving you the output directly, the question that will come is how will you find out their wages? Wages is actual hours into time rate. So wages is done. But problem is, how will you find out their bonus, or how will you give them extra wages? How will you compute their efficiency? So for this, the answer is that like how you set standards for direct workers, which is in terms of their output, that is the production that they are doing, you should set standards for indirect worker in terms of their support service. So for example, it is the maintenance staff. I will set the standard on the basis of how well the machine is performing or how less there is machine breakdown. Similarly, for supervisor, I can set the standard as how much less is the number of defectives or the rejections that are happening. Because if the supervisor is more efficient, if his supervision is very efficient, there will be less number of defectives produced, there will be less number of rejected material produced. So this is how we can or we should set a standard even for the indirect workers so that we can even remunerate them and give them a reasonable amount of incentive to keep them motivated and to keep them integrated to the company. Now comes the next point of discussion, which is called as group wages and group bonus. Now, what is group wages? Group wages basically means that when you are working in a big group, now, generally, wages is not a problem because it will be again fixed for each of the workers, because each of the workers are presently means they are present and their timekeeping records are maintained separately for each worker. So you can give them wages independently. But the challenge comes of the bonus or incentives. So here we have to first understand when this terminology of group bonus or incentive will come. See, at times there is a possibility that some output which you are making, which you are giving, you are a direct worker, but the output is not a result only of your efforts, it is the result of combined efforts of many workers together. That is where the concept of group bonus comes in. So let us say construction of a building. Entire building is one unit. So my output is one building. Example. Now, if I want to give incentive, I will make a standard for that one building. Let us say this whole building should be completed in 50 weeks. This is the standard. Now, if you complete the whole building in 45 weeks, it means you are very efficient. You have saved my 5 weeks, which is a very big time. And obviously, it has led to huge savings, huge profits, which I want to pass on to you as incentive. Now, here the challenge or the question is, how will I find out the incentive for each worker? Because this building is an outcome or a result of group of workers working together, working in a particular sync, working in a particular tandem, where this output was resulted. So when I have to give incentive, in this particular case, the challenge is firstly how to calculate the incentive, secondly, how to distribute the incentive. So in this, what are the theory points versus what is the need or objective to give incentive to the group? Answer is same. Because if you're not able to keep the group motivated, if you're not giving them incentive, your overall output will reduce, which will lead to overrun of cost and lesser profit. But the question is, firstly, how to compute their incentive and then how to distribute. So first answer is computation. You will compute their incentives by using the same plans that we studied above. Means what? Since one building is identifiable output and you can fix for one building, I will need 50 weeks. So it is easy to find out the efficiency for you can fix the standard for the building. Now, once you're able to fix the standard for the building, now finding out efficiency is so easy. Like how we were finding out efficiency for one worker by comparing the standard hours and actual hours. Now, you know the standard time for this building is 50 weeks. If this building is completed in 45 weeks, you know the savings is 5 weeks and you can easily find out the incentives. So first is you can calculate their incentive by any of the plans that we studied above, or there are some specialized plans devised for group bonus by different learned scholars or the economists. So the various plans that were devised by different learned people of their times are named behind them. So these are one of the plans that you may use for calculating the wages. So now you will calculate the bonus also for the group, either by the above plans, by because you know their savings, you can find out the bonus, or you can find out the bonus by any of the plans which these different economists have given. But the second challenge is, even if you find out the bonus, let us say 50 weeks the work should have been done, the work was completed in 45 weeks, you saved my 5 weeks, I find out the wages or bonus for these 5 weeks, it comes to rupees 50 lakhs. Now, there are 100 workers. The workers are of different categories. Some are engineers, some are site engineers, some are very basic work, that is the Hamali workers. Some are slightly skilled workers doing this RCC part, doing the coloring part. Some are the specialized skilled workers like the plumbing workers, the electrification workers. Now I have to divide this 50 lakhs in the entire group of 100 workers who are of different type. Everybody may not have worked for equal hours because everybody's work is different. Some may have worked for 500 hours, some may have worked for 200 hours. How to divide the wages, sorry, not wages, the bonus. So once I calculate the bonus by one of these plans, now the second challenge is dividing the bonus. The answer is very simple. You know everybody's wages because that you have paid separately. The simplest way of giving bonus is divide the bonus in ratio of their wages. And this will be the most fairest way of doing this. Nobody will have a challenge because the person who has earned more wages, if he's getting extra share of incentive, and the person who has earned less wages, why? Because he is less skilled or he has worked for less number of hours, Hence, he will get less share in the bonus also. Nobody would be adversely affected. So this is some theoretical part about the group bonus and the bonus and incentives for indirect workers. Now we come to the last part, that is some special scenarios of labor. And the first special scenario in labor is labor turnover. Now, firstly, what is turnover? Turnover implies the rate of change. That is the rate at which your workers are changing, moving in, moving out. Now, how to find out labor turnover? So there are some methods given for labor turnover so that we can find it out at what rate my labor is changing. And this particular method or formula gives you the labor turnover as a percentage. Percentage of what? Percentage of your average workers. Why we are taking average? Because my total number of workers are changing. Now, in order to find out how much percentage of worker has changed, that is the turnover percentage, I need to compute the percentage with relation to my total workforce, which is changing. Hence, I am taking average. Now, for the purpose of average, we first do this parallel working. So we find out opening number of workers, let us say on 1st of April, and we find out the closing number of workers, which will be on 31st of March. You should always do this working. This working is not only for finding out average workers, but also finding out some hidden adjustment or missing figures. Now, what is this? Let us say at the start of the year, I had 1,000 workers. Now, what would have happened? During the year, some workers would have left me, which is called as workers who are separated. Now, there could be different reasons for the workers leaving me. It could be because of their retirement. It could be because of some workers' death. It could be because of some of their personal reasons like marriage or change in their location of residence. Or it could be for varied other reasons like they are dissatisfied with the company's policies, etc., etc. Whatever is the reason, I find out how many workers have left. 200. Now here there could be some missing data. They may not have given you the total data. Actually, the workers left should have been 200. They have given you only 100. But that difference you will be able to find out how I'll explain. So that you will subtract. Now you will add. In add, we have two categories. One is the replacement and one is the new recruitment. What is this replacement and new recruitment? Out of these number of workers who left, who were separated, obviously, I need to bring some workers in their place so that my work is not disturbed, it is going on. Out of this, whoever have joined, they are called as replacement. Out of this means in the places of the workers who left, who separated, in their places, whoever joined is what is replacement. So let us say during this particular period, 180 workers had joined in the place of workers who had left. And since I'm expanding, since I'm getting more work, I have created new 50 positions. So because of this, I have created new vacancies on which there are new recruitments of 50. Correct? So if you see, my closing worker comes to 130. Right? So firstly, in the question, if closing number of workers is not given, you calculate by this method. In case opening, closing both are given, then one of these figures will be the missing value which you will get by using the same format or the same formula. So in labor turnover sums, you should first do this working. Now, after doing this working, you very well know what is the formula for finding out average workers. It is the opening workers plus closing workers upon 2, which is 1000 plus 1030 upon 2, which will be 1015 workers. So I find out my average workers. So the starting of this category of sums will be first doing this working. This will help you either find out the closing or opening number of workers, or if both are given, it will help you find out if something is missing from the data in between. Once you have found out the average number of workers, now you have to simply apply different formulae to find out the percentage, that is the labor turnover ratio. First is the separation method. In this, we will consider the workers who are going out of my organization. So in my example, it is 200. So my formula is 200 out of 1015. So this is my first percentage that I will get. So out of 1015, 200 workers have left. So roughly my percentage would come around 1.9 something. Second would be, I would find out the turnover taking the workers who have come in the place of workers who have left. That is, I'll take the replacement number of workers. So it will be 180 upon the average 115. So again here this will come to 179 something percentage. Now there is something called as a flux. Flux is what? Flux is a combination, or you can say simply mathematical total of this. So as you can see in the numerator, you take workers separated plus workers replaced. So in this formula, I would be taking 200 plus 180 in the numerator and denominator 1015 into 100. So roughly my percentage would come to around 3.7 something. Right? Then comes the next method, which is called as the accession method. Firstly, what is accession? Accession means the total number of workers who are joining your company in a period. So it is total of both replacement and recruitment. So it is number of replacement plus number of recruitment. This total, that is total number of workers coming to your organization in a year, is called as accession. So in my example, it is 180 plus 50. So it comes to 230. Again, upon 1015 into 100, 2.2 something. And then you have to again calculate the flux, which is the total, by now taking accessions and the separation. So accessions was 230, separation was 200 upon 1015. So it will come to 4.29. So, correct, students? I hope you're understanding whatever we are solving, and it is very clear to you all how the turnover ratios are computed. So first, do this working, which is very important, because from here you will get all data also for doing your working of the percentages, and also from here, in case there is any missing figure, that you will be identifying. Correct? Now let us go into some theory. Why will the workers leave your organization? So what could be causes of labor turnover? First is, it could be controllable by employer. Like many times the workers leave because they are dissatisfied with the organization, and these are the reasons. They are not getting proper wages, or there is no proper work condition, or they may get better opportunities outside which you are not providing them, or there can be some internal disputes with other workers or with managers, or they are not getting proper facilities of training, recreation, whatever. Now, these are the causes why workers leave, and these are controllable because employer can change them. But at the same time, for some reasons, employer cannot change. Like my business is of seasonal nature. Whenever it is off season, I have to myself remove some worker to save my cost. Then I am not having sufficient raw material. If raw material is not there, how they will do production? Power failure is there in my area, or my output is not having sufficient demand. Then if by chance I change my plant location from one city to another, maybe some workers will automatically leave because they will not come to the new city. Then certain workers may become disabled. So they will not be now fit for working. So by default, they will leave. I will remove some people because they were not behaving as per my company policy. And then there could be personal reason like bad health, death, change of residence by the worker, their internal domestic problems, and marriage, where they change the location, especially in case of females. So these are some of the causes of labor turnover. Now, what is the impact? There is the straightforward impact of labor turnover that it will be increasing your expenses and it will be reducing your production. I will say, sir, how my expenses will increase? See, if the worker has left, you have to now hire new workers for which you will do induction. You'll have to spend costs on their interviews. You'll have to spend costs on identifying the workers. So that will increase your cost. Plus, whatever workers you have selected, to them you have to provide training, etc., etc. So initially your cost will increase. But again, at the same time, the production is reducing. Why? Because the workers are new, they are not accustomed to your work. Firstly, your regular production flow is disturbed because new workers have come in. They may not match with the speed of the other workers. Initially, their efficiency is low, so they would be slow. They would be committing mistakes, so there could be wastage of material, breakage, etc. Right? Now, as I said, there would be increase in costs if there is labor turnover. There are two types of costs. One is preventive, one is replacement, and both are exclusive. If you do this, this will not happen. If you do not do this, this will happen. Right? Now, in this particular case, what is preventive cost? Preventive cost means those costs which if you incur, there will be no labor turnover. So these are the costs you do for preventing labor turnover. Like you give them extra or better wages, make better working conditions for them, give them incentives, better opportunities. So they will not leave, but this will add to your cost. That is preventive. But if you don't do this and because of dissatisfaction they leave, then you incur the cost that happens after leave, after their going out of the organization, like induction, training, breakage cost, etc., etc. Then what are the steps to avoid labor turnover? The steps to avoid labor turnover is provide them better conditions, give them proper remuneration matching with industry standards along with suitable incentives, conduct exit interviews so that you will get to know why they are leaving so that you can make correction. Then, since there are disputes because of which many people leave, make a small committee or body within your organization who will resolve the disputes. Also, try to improve the relationship between the upper and the lower segment, like the management and the employees, because many times that also creates a lot of labor problems. And to do this, you can make a joint committee of both so that together, if they solve the problems, it will be acceptable to everyone. Then comes a very simple concept in labor, that is labor overtime. What is overtime? We all understand when you are working over and above your normal working hours. So let us say the normal working hours fixed is 8 hours. If you work beyond 8, the extra hours you have worked is called as overtime. So let us say you have worked for extra 2 hours. That is total you have worked today 10 hours. So 8 hours will be your normal, 2 hours will be your overtime. Now to determine overtime, you have to first fix the normal hours. What is normal will depend upon are you covered under the present Factories Act? If yes, then Factories Act has already provided that for daily basis workers, it will be 9 hours. And where it is not a daily wages worker, when you can calculate weekly, the hours would be 48. So Factories Act provide two measures. On daily basis, 9 hours will be normal time. Above 9 hours will be overtime. If they are not daily wages worker, then on weekly basis, you will take total 48 hours. Whatever time the person has worked in the week, minus 48 hours will be the overtime hours. Also, if Factories Act is not applicable, then how do you compute overtime? If Factories Act is not applicable, let us say in our offices, Factories Act is not applicable to offices. In that particular case, what will be overtime? It will be again excess over normal. What will be normal? Normal is what is fixed by the employer as per the normal trade practice. So what is normal? That is important. So Factories Act or no Factories Act. No Factories Act, it is as per employer's terms. Factories Act, it is as per Factories Act, either 9 hours per day or 48 hours per week. Now what happens if a person is working for overtime hours? You have to pay extra wages, which is called as overtime wages. Now, what is overtime wages? See, you are paying everyone the normal wages. So let us assume that your normal wage rate is rupees 100 per hour. Now, this you are paying to them for the normal hours they are working. So in my example, it is the first 8 hours. But whenever the worker exceeds this, you have to pay him some extra. So let us say I have promised the worker that for hours you are working extra, I'll pay you 75 extra. Extra means your wage rate will be 175 per hour. So for these 2 hours you have worked extra, I'll pay you at the rate of 175, in which 100 would be the normal and 75 would be the premium. So below you can see the small working of how wages would be computed whenever there is overtime. So 8 hours into 100 normal, 2 hours into 175 for the overtime part, because you are paying them at a premium, that is at a higher rate. Now, what could be the reasons for working overtime? First reason is there is workload. As we say now, because of some specific period of like season, you have extra workload. Even in our offices, you have specific seasons like tax audit seasons, or now bank audit seasons, or these litigation due dates. At that time, we have extra workload. When you have to work in some particular seasons extra because there is extra workload, then what is the rule? They say that whatever extra you are paying to the workers for overtime, treat it as overheads. So the extra amount that you are paying to workers as overtime will be considered as your overheads, because it is not a natural phenomenon. It happens only on some specific periods. Then when this is a regular problem, why you have to work overtime? Because you are getting less number of employees. Now, if the number of employees is less, you'll ask them to work more. In this case, they say that you charge premium to all your products. How? By inflating the wage rate, or I'll say inflating the charging rate. Now, how you inflate the charging rate? We have understood at the start how you calculate charging rate. It is your total labor cost upon the hours. Now, when you divide the total labor cost, which is including that overtime premium, by the hours, instead of 100, you are getting 115. So now your labor charging rate is inflated because it is including premium. And what will happen once you have inflated this charging rate? The premium will get charged to all workers. Second, there was some abnormal reason like COVID, like strike. There was 1 month some closure of the factory for some accident that had happened. And now to recover all that, you are working overtime. In such cases, the premium has to be charged to cost to kill. This is the general rule of entire costing. And next, if you are working overtime because a customer has requested, I want this work today only or in this week only. So I'll say, sir, then I'll have to make my worker sit extra and I'll have to pay them extra. Customer obviously will say, okay, no problem. I will bear the cost. So in such a case, you charge it to the customer. And then where you are working overtime because some other department was at fault. Now, the step is the first one will do the work. It will come to the second one. It will come to the third one. You are the third one. Now, if there is any mistake in the first and second person's work and it comes to you, when you identify the mistake, either you send it back for their working, or what you'll do, you will do that correction at your end and you then continue your working so that the time is saved. But still in doing this correction, you require extra time, because of which you have to work overtime. In such cases, logically, you will recover that amount from the other department who is at fault by charging it to the overheads of that department. So this is how costing says you have to deal with the overtime premium. And the last part is, what will be the effect of this overtime on your productivity and cost? My productivity comes down, and because of this, cost per unit increases. Why productivity comes down? Obviously, in the overtime period, you will be tired and fatigued. So your output will be less, it will be slow. So during the overtime hours, definitely your production and productivity will come down. But at the same time, you are paying at a higher rate for this overtime as per the rule. So what will be the net effect? Production is low, but the cost is high. So your cost per unit will go up. Interestingly, it has been observed by various business entities that when they give overtime to their employees, they found that the employees are now reducing their production during the normal time also. It means intentfully they are working slow during normal time of 8 hours, so that the work becomes pending. It should appear as overload of work. And then the employer will say, okay, to complete this overload, sit extra for 2 hours, I'll pay you extra. So it has been found that they are purposefully doing this. Now that is why you require steps to control them. The step is make proper planning. There has to be proper planning of the work also and the workers also, so that you can understand whether the overtime is genuinely required or the workers are doing some sort of mischief. For this, you should keep a watch of the output during normal hours, and you should ensure that the normal hours production is at the specified speed, so that there is no scope of any type of casualness by the employees. Then bring a system where overtime will be done only with prior sanction of some higher management. So supervisor and all should not be allowed to give the instructions of overtime, because then they may do some safeguard with the workers and do overtime anytime. Periodical reports should come to the management so that they can check the reasons and causes of overtime, and wherever there is some mischief or mistake, they may correct. Similarly, always there should be an upper limit fixed for the overtime work. Why? Because there is a limit to every human working in a day. You can work extra 1 or 2 hours, you cannot work 4 or 5 hours extra. Those extra hours will be all unproductive. So even if you have to work overtime, please fix a limit. And then the last point is idle time, which if you remember we had discussed at the start of the class. Still, I'll just repeat for the purpose of everyone. We discussed at the start of the class what is idle time. Idle time is the time when you are prepared to work, but you are idle for some reason. Like how it happened today at the start of the class, there was some issue at my end. So initial 10-15 minutes, we could not have a proper class. This is where you remained idle for those 15 minutes. This is what is the example of idle time. Now, idle time can be normal, abnormal. Obviously, you'll understand today's idle time was abnormal because it was unexpected. It happened due to some uncontrollable, unforeseeable circumstances. But what is normal? Like every time when you start your studies every day, it will not happen the moment you sit, the study will start. You'll first take out your books, you'll arrange it, you'll find out the chapter from where you have to start. You'll check your timetable, and then your effective study will start. This may take 10 minutes. This is where those 10 minutes are unproductive. Similarly, after these 10 minutes, when you have started studying one subject, once you study for 2.5, 3 hours, now you take a break, maybe some tea break, maybe some breakfast break. Again, that much time is gone. Again, you sit for study for some time, lunch break, again evening tea break, again dinner break. Again, between the study, when you have completed one chapter or one subject, now you'll close the books, you'll go to another subject. Again, you have to take out all your material, you have to search for the PPTs and all. All this is the time required either in changeover or the break that you want. For machines like laptop and all, even when you start, it will take time to start and launch. So all these are your normal causes. And against them, what are abnormal causes? It may be power cuts, machine breakdown, or it can be uncontrollable reasons, natural calamities, fire, flood, like in my case, some medical problem for which I had to suddenly travel. So these are the different types of abnormal, which may be controllable, which may be uncontrollable. Controllable abnormal are what? By proper planning. Like if I know there are now power cuts happening, suddenly the machine is breaking down. Why? Because of no proper maintenance. I can control them in future by installing a power backup plant, by doing more regular maintenance, or by getting new machines if because of old machines there is breakdown. So these are abnormal but controllable. Uncontrollable are those which happen suddenly, which you cannot do anything. Fine, students. So this is all in labor chapter. We have completed thoroughly the labor chapter, the theory part, the practical part. Now, what is expected from your side is you need to do the practice of all these concepts of all these chapters from your
Mr.
module.
Vishal,
First, practice module thoroughly, and then later on, once module is done, then go to past exam sums. Tanvi, you have a question why there are two methods for flux. See, flux is one total of separation and replacement. Now, when there is no accession, there is no new people are coming in the form of new recruitment, then flux is only separation plus replacement. But when new people are coming for new jobs, then there is another flux, which is separation plus replacement plus new recruitment. So that is why there are two flux methods. Those two flux are again same thing, only depending upon the scenario. In the factory where there will be new recruitments, you'll have the second flux. In the factory there is no new recruitment, you'll have the first flux. Fine, Tanvi? Fine, beta? Great.
Mr. Vishal, I would like to speak for 2 minutes. Dr. Sen Gupta this side.
Oh, yes. Good morning, sir. Please, sir.
Good morning. Yes, students, so sir has explained the chapter employee cost. Please keep few things in mind that when you are talking about examination perspective, that earlier there was various incentive schemes. Now only Raman and Halsey is applicable to you. That's one
Correct,
thing,
sir.
because many of the people are still studying some of the techniques which are not included. And please be careful about various labor turnover techniques like sir has explained just now, and how the bonus is calculated, how the wages is calculated, how is the treatment of various things in various aspect. Okay, and then you practice the numericals what is given in the study material. The treatment of idle time is very very important, and both normal as well as abnormal, how it is going to be treated in the books of cost accounting. So these are some of the areas. This is, I feel, that comparatively very easy to score chapter. So practice all kind of numerical. uh, which was very monotonous earlier, those has been removed, so only the specific things has been given. So kindly practice as much as possible, and obviously if there is any query, you come back to us. Thank you very much. Vishal, you can wind up the class, please.
Thank you very much, sir, for all the insights. So, students, I'm sure this would be very insightful for you all. And students, I again repeat, which I repeat in every class. See, BOS is taking all the efforts from its side to give you the best quality coaching, to give you the best quality backup. And I again assure you that whatever you are studying here in different subjects is complete from the perspective of exams, and most important, very much important, is it is also complete from the perspective of your real life practice. So please attend our classes live, because I'm sure many of you would realize that many times some concepts are so tricky that it may not be solved until unless you ask the questions, and the moment you ask that question or you get that doubt cleared immediately, the entire concept is crystal clear. This may not happen when you are watching our lectures recorded. See, recorded is for your only backup, or for certain days where it is exigency, where you cannot attend at all. So please make it a point, student, that you will be regular to the live classes, because that will help you a lot by firstly being attentive, because when you are in live, you are more focused. Secondly, you can raise the questions immediately. Third point, which I had mentioned in my first lecture, please come prepared prior day with the topic that would be taught. You already have the schedule, what will be taught in the next class for every subject. Please come prepared, read the module. You may not be able to understand everything, it is fine, but at least there would be something in your head. So we are taking all efforts at our end. As you can see on our BOS portal, continuously we are revising our modules. We are giving you so many lot of commentaries, so many lot of practice questions. Please make use of everything, because this is what is the actual key to success. So dear students, best of luck. Be attentive, be present, be consistent. That is the key to success, and we all are there for you. Whenever you need any help, you have to just write to BOS. You will be provided that help to the best extent possible. So thank you all. Let us connect again for the next class, and please study well for all subjects in the same tempo. Thank you all. Good day. Bye bye. Over, sir. We can close, sir. Thank you.